Doing what I always do. I'm waving. Yes, I am waving right here in the studio. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining me once again on the Grow podcast. And I hope you guys are ready for another great week of growing. On the Grow podcast, let me remind you, I'm always talking about what faith, life, and you. And I'm going to use all three of those aspects as I share this story about my life. I was riding back from Florida just the other day, and I stopped by to see a friend of mine, and we end up talking about this story. And he said, man, you got to share that story on the podcast. I think it's really going to be helpful to a lot of people. So I'm going to share this with you. Growing up, being in a football family, I don't know how many people know this, but some do, some don't. But I played quarterback, believe it or not. I know a lot of people look at my size and say, what? You played quarterback? Yes, I did. I played quarterback from the time I started playing football all the way up until to the seventh grade. And I will admit that there was some nepotism going on there. My dad was the coach, and it was very easy for him to teach us quarterback all the plays because I was in-house, so we could talk about it at home. We went on to play in the championship my seventh grade year. And I'm all excited, even though we did lose the championship. But going into high school, everyone was just talking about, the big guy who's going to be the quarterback. Well, when I got to eighth grade, my head coach, he was the varsity coach, but Willie Hunter had a conversation with me in eighth grade, and he said, your quarterbacking days are over. And if you know Coach Hunter, he had some explicit words to add to it. He said, your quarterback days are over. Your hand is going into bleepity bleep dirt. You are a lineman. You're going to be a lineman, son. And listen, I had to do something. I had to embrace changing my position. Okay? I had to embrace changing my position no matter what I had accomplished in the past, no matter what I was thinking of how good and how great I was at that time. I had to do something. Two things that I had to do. I had to have faith in my head coach and the words that he was telling me. And I had to be obedient to the things that he started teaching me in becoming a lineman. With that being said, I want to say this. A lot of you need to be open to repositioning yourself. A lot of you need to let go of your past accomplishments, things that you have achieved, and realize that you're at a place in life where you need to reposition yourself in order to succeed. My childhood dream, I've said this so many times, was to play professional football. I may have thought it was going to be through the road or position of being a quarterback, but I had a head coach who had the foresight to see, son, you're only going to be able to go so far with that. No, I'm going to teach you a better way, in a sense of you becoming a lineman and he put me in a position to thrive. And what I want to say is this: you need to be open to repositioning yourself so that you may drive, so that you may thrive, so that you may prosper, so that you may be able to experience the goodness of the Lord. Now, let me go ahead and give you the faith portion of this. When I think about this story I just shared with you, a person that comes to mind is Saul. In the book of Acts chapter 9, when his name is changed from Saul to Paul, and that's because he had an encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. And guess what? A repositioning took place. He went from being a man that persecuted Christians to being a man that shared the gospel and ended up writing books of the New Testament. All of this took place because he was repositioned. He was open to the word of God and the Lord's instructions. Here's what I'm saying, and I'm going to go ahead and give you another story before I even elaborate on that. Another person that comes to mind, and it's a female, and it's Esther. In Esther, you can read about this in the book of Esther, but one of the parts that really gets exciting is in Esther chapter 4. And if you don't know the story, I'm just going to paraphrase it real quick. All the Jews, this guy by the name of Haman he's trying to kill all the Jews. Mordecai, who happens to be Esther's cousin who adopted her because she was an orphan. Her mom and dad had passed. She was an orphan, but she was a beautiful young lady, and she was now in the king's palace. Yeah. But Mordecai sent word and said, hey, Esther, I just want you to know they're talking about killing all the Jews, and they don't think because you're in the king's palace that you're going to be excluded. He said, even you will be destroyed. So Esther says, listen, I've got to do something. I'm going to go and see the king. Even though she knew it would probably lead to death, she said, listen, I'm going to go and see the king. Making the story a tad bit longer, she goes and sees the king, and more so than leading to death, what it ended up doing was her sharing her heart with the king. And the king, after he found out the plans, ended up killing the guy by the name of Haman, who was going to kill all the Jews. Here's what I need you to grasp. If it was not for this orphan girl, we're looking at her past. She's an orphan. She's been through this process of adoption. Her beauty yet leads her not for her own glory, but her beauty opens the door for her to be positioned in the king's court. And with that being said, listen to this. It positioned her to be the voice of a nation that would end up saving that nation from this serious demise that was going on towards them. I need you to understand this. A lot of you have been positioned in life not for your glory, but for God's glory. So make sure that you use your position, listen, to edify God and to make sure that you are using your position for his glory. Yeah. Don't be afraid to repositioning your life, to reposition yourself in life, because once you do that, things can change. Now, I will say this, even at 50 something, I still love going out and throwing the ball around and reliving my old quarterback days. But here's the thing that I have no regrets. One of the greatest decisions that I ever made was being able to have faith in the words that my coach, Willie Hunter, was speaking to me, be obedient to his teachings and being coachable. And that led me to being able to achieve my childhood dream. Here's the thing what I want you to capture as I close out on this. Be faithful to the one who created you. That's God. Have faith in him and be obedient to his word and allow his word to change your life. You're not stuck. Nope, you're not. You just simply need to reposition yourself. Stop dwelling on your past accomplishments. Stop dwelling on your past failures and realize that if Esther can be repositioned to be in the king's court, if a man who was a murderer could go on and preach the gospel, man, just think about what God can do for you. So listen, again, reposition yourself and let God use you for his glory. Well, listen, that's all my time here on the Grow Podcast. And like I said, don't be afraid to reposition yourself. Of course, it's okay to look back and reminisce, but keep pressing forward in the repositioning. All right, let's go. Let's grow. And as always, let's keep it moving, people. Man, I missed my quarterback days. 818, hut, Omaha. You guys have a blessed week. Love you.